Hi, I'm Steve Hansen, and today we're using creative lighting for a food setup. Okay, so here we go. We've got a donut scene here, and what I want to really accomplish is a really complex, interesting, dynamic lighting setup with very motivated lighting coming from various directions in various color temperatures using various modifiers. Now, this being said, you don't have to use this many lights to get similar results, but every light I have here is here for a reason. So we'll go through, we've got some donuts laying out, and we have sort of the ingredients situated over to the right. And what this is going to do is sort of explain what's going on here. People are making donuts. They just came out of the fryer, and they're being put on a tray, and they're slid. And so each individual light's going to serve a different purpose. Here we have the Rapid Box beauty dish. And what I've done here is this is going to be the overhead broad source. It's going to almost look like a ring light, but not nearly as contrasty. This is more of just a general but very directional fill from overhead. And then I'll get to this gel a little bit later, but so this will give us sort of an just a broad light. Now what I've done is how do I really make the hero shine, which is this donut right here. We want this to be the focal point of the shot. So in order to do that, I've created a snooted Skylux, which is kind of raking over the flour here and actually hitting the donut at a very steep angle opposite these other two ice lights right here. So it's a very dramatic lighting. There's not one direction to the source. And that's on purpose. So this light's coming through, it's hitting the top of the flour, but also kind of not only hitting the donut, but creating a shadow right in this area that when I placed it higher actually became a really bright spot. So anytime you're shooting with reflective surfaces from overhead, you're going to be battling all kinds of reflectivity. So using these shallower lights to my advantage to kind of create my own shadows and create my own luck in regards to shooting with reflective surfaces, I'm getting triple duty here and also highlighting the hero. So going through the scene, we see that the hero's lit, but we also see that the donuts were kind of dull and they didn't have a lot of life. What I absolutely love are the ice lights for this reason, especially with the barn doors, because then I can just create this raking light using the barn doors that skims over the donuts right here and then shows you all that amazing texture. When you're shooting overhead, it's almost a two-dimensional image. You don't get the advantage of being in a 3D space. It's overhead. So to create any kind of texture or lighting variations is crucial. So take your time on this. When you're doing this on your own or you're doing an overhead shot, kind of crumple up Ziplocs around the lights, or you can do a lot of makeshift stuff to interfere with the light and create these dynamic interactions rather than just have a plain wash of just window light coming over it. Really crucial thing to remember. So the last thing I did is I wanted this ice light here with the red gel on it to resemble sort of a heat lamp look, as if it were just kind of being pulled out of the fryer and you want to maintain the warmth when it comes out. So I created this gelled ice light. But this could very easily be pinned up here, or there's things you can do to avoid using this many lights. But ideally, these all serve a purpose. So the last thing I did was put a purple gel on top of the Rapid Box, and I don't know why I did this. I was just kind of messing around, and I thought, why not? I felt like the red was just so much in the frame that I wanted to contrast it with kind of a cooler toned color that kind of just mix it up a little bit. So I attached this just using clips. And it really kind of adds a little interesting, kind of variation in the highlights. So if you look on the sheet pan right here, you see all this swirling color of highlights, shadows, the color red, the color purple, all this stuff going on in this one just gray pan. So it took a little bit of time to get here, but you can take your time at home when you're working with these and just finesse, because you just have infinite time to kind of work with this and see how the lights interact. And that's really one of the crucial parts about this. It's just to kind of mix it up, try new things, not be afraid to fail, and kind of just mess around with things that are typically said to be incorrect in regards to lighting, and make them correct, make them your own style, make them interesting. So here's the final image. We captured this using a tilt shift lens, a 45mm tilt shift lens. You do not need a tilt shift lens to capture the shot. However, I did shift the lens forward to allow me to get perfectly over the top of the set without actually having to have the camera over the top of the set. So if you have a tripod, but ideally you could actually do this on the floor, put it below the camera, and plenty of room to work. This is just a convenience thing for me. But I do love the 45mm look because it spreads out the image and you can see the sides of the things in the corners of the frame, which adds a lot of drama to the shot. The settings were, we did f16 just to make sure that everything was perfectly sharp in the frame, and at a ½ second just to have the proper exposure and to not have the highlights blown out. I did also use a polarizer on this just to kind of knock down any unnecessary reflections. And that was attached to a matte box, which just allows, it keeps any random lights from actually hitting the front of the lens and causing glare. So that's kind of the technical aspects of how we captured this image. But this is really all about the lighting and just having fun with lighting, taking your time and kind of doing things that are a little out of the norm.